Okay, here we are. We are live. Hello, everybody. I am Lauren Shippen, the creator of the Bright Sessions and the voice of Sam. And unbelievably, it's been 10 years since the show came out. And so we've been doing these monthly live streams to celebrate each season of the podcast. And I'm so excited to have this amazing group of people here with me to talk about season 3 of the podcast, which I think was really the first season that I actually fully planned. So it was intentional. And I'm going to let them each introduce themselves and who they play in the show, and also any other podcasts that they want to mention, because they're all incredible actors who have an amazing body of work. So Phillip, I will hand it off to you.
What's up? My name is Phillip Jordan, and I played Frank. Other audio dramas you can hear me on. Life of Leo, also produced by the lovely Lauren. Yeah, that's all I got. Next.
Amazing. Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia Morizawa. I am the voice of Dr. Bright. I will shout out the Amelia Project, which is still going strong, and I think was the first other show that I got invited to do after the Bright Sessions. Okay, Ian.
Hello! Wow, Amelia Project is still going. That's wild. That's crazy. My name's Ian McQuown. I played Agent Green. And right now I'm doing an actual play D&D podcast called The Wandering Path, produced by our sound engineer from Bright Sessions, Misha Stanton.
Yeah. And Alex.
Hi there, I'm Alex Marshall Brown. I played Director Wadsworth happily. And I haven't had a show that I'm working on currently, but I do remember very fond times working with Ian and everything on his shows as well, with Star Tripper.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. All such fantastic shows from fantastic creators. And I kind of want to start, Julia, we talked about this a little bit on our first live stream that we did a couple of months ago, but feel free to answer it again with what you remember about joining the Bright Sessions and entering audio drama kind of as an industry, as an art form. Was this the first time that you did anything like this? What do you remember about those early days? What did you think of it all?
Yeah.
Full confessional.
Yeah, so I had never heard of fiction podcasts. I had heard of podcasts, I think.
I had 2015. So
yeah.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I genuinely, I think so. But I had never heard of or listened to a scripted fiction narrative podcast. And you told me to listen to Welcome to Night Vale. So I did. And I remember around that time, around the time that you invited me to participate, you were in a production of Spring Awakening. I went and saw you in that. And then I remember chatting with you briefly around that time, more about it. And yeah, I just had no clue whatsoever, but I was thrilled to be offered any kind of opportunity in general, but no, specifically with you, Lauren, because we were in class together. So I knew your work, and I knew that you had invited Brigham. You posted the Facebook message that you originally sent us the other
10 years
day.
ago yesterday.
I didn't specifically remember that it was a group message. I thought it was a private message. Yeah. But it was to me and Brigham, I think, right? And so you plus Brigham, I was like, yeah, cool. What's a podcast? Great, whatever. Yeah, and we just dove in. And I think I got a little spoiled, to be honest, because we, coming from theater backgrounds and coming from class backgrounds and always being in the same room with the other actor while recording the Bright Sessions, I definitely got spoiled, because a lot of shows don't do that. A lot of shows you're recording lines alone by yourself and just pretending that the other person is there. So I do fondly sort of miss and recall that part of our recording process.
The bedroom sessions.
Yeah.
The Lauren's bedroom sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
With that mattress, and then the day, the season, didn't you get a free mattress from one of the ad sponsors?
I did,
or
yeah.
Something, or Casper.
I think I had, yeah, it was, God, it wasn't Casper. One of the other ones.
Yeah.
And then I had an extra mattress, and so I just used that to throw up against the windows to try and create
Keep
some
us.
degree of soundproofing.
Yep.
I just remember your
Which
red
sort of
Persian
worked.
rug. Kind of, yeah, a little bit. I just
Yeah.
remember your red
Yeah.
Persian rug, and that I think you had tried to duct tape it down right next to the door, because every time the bedroom door opened, it like pulled the rug back.
Caught on it. Yep. Well, yeah, because it's funny. I think I have like a boomerang of you like opening the door over and over again, Ian. Because I think you were probably of the folks here. You were probably the next cast member to join, because you came in. You joined at the same time that Misha did, because Misha's first episode that they sound designed. Yes, the first episode they sound designed was the first episode that Agent Green appeared in, which is so funny that now the two of you like work so closely together.
Yeah, that's
because you
so
joined the
wild.
show at the same time. Yeah. And like I actually have like a funny anecdote or a sweet anecdote about you joining the show, Ian. But I'm curious what you remember in terms of like, because we didn't know each other really.
I honestly, Lauren, I don't remember. I remember going into your room with that carpet, and I remember, and it was also summer, so it was really hot, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sitting across from, you know, like Julia's saying, like sitting across from other people and doing it. But I honestly don't remember how we got connected. I know it must have been through Anna and Rocky Horror, but I literally, my first memory of Bright Sessions starts already in your place. I have no other recollection of it.
I love that. Because I have really been reflecting on like how I sort of, you know, got everybody in the mix. And yeah, for both you, Ian, and you, Alex, I met the two of you sort of through Anna and through Rocky Horror, and then also Vane, Maggie's short film. Yeah, which Alex, I remember meeting you for the first time so vividly, because you were fight choreographing that, and I just remember thinking like, oh my god, this is the coolest person I've ever met in my life.
I'm glad that's the takeaway.
I was so starstruck. And then when like I was coming up with like, you know, who Wadsworth was going to be, I was like, well, obviously it's Alex. But I think what's interesting is that I didn't have a great idea of who Agent Green was, and so I asked Anna. I was like, who do you think would have a good voice for like this kind of like bureaucrat character? And she was like, I'm just gonna ask Ian to like send me the lines. I'm just gonna ask him to record a bunch of different takes on his phone, which I still have actually.
So that is why, because I do kind of remember being like, I don't really know if this is actually a thing. Like, yeah, who cares?
And it's interesting because like each take you like try a different version of who this guy would be, because like I basically gave you no information, and so it's like there's a British Agent Green, there's like a very buttoned up Agent Green, and then it was like your last take that was like this like kind of like bubbly like kind of sweet guy, and I heard that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's not at all what I had in mind for the character, but I was so convinced by it that then like I think begged you to do it. And then the moment we recorded the first episode, I was like, oh, this character is now going to become a much bigger deal than he was going to be.
That was the other thing. He was supposed to be like a tiny little part that was there and gone again.
Yeah. And it just like, as with so many things, like he just ended up becoming a much bigger role, which actually it was true of Frank as well, which is that like he was only really supposed to be in the kind of fringes. And then I mean, yeah, Phillip, like what's your memory of sort of joining the show? I mean, obviously we met in acting class,
and what's so crazy is because we were only in acting class for like 2 seconds, because I was in Tim's class because I was waiting for Jamie's class to start. So I used that class just to be in there for a few weeks for being there. So you would send me an email that I didn't see. And it sat there for about like 3 weeks or something like that. It was crazy. So then I saw the email like, how did I miss this? So I responded to you, but also I'm like, okay, Lauren. Like, Lauren, okay, I was in class, and then you had said that Brigham and Julie were involved. I was like, okay, I remember now, you know, because I kind of remember the whole like Brigham, Julia, Charlie, like that whole type of group. So I was like, okay, I remember now. And so you had said that you had reached out to Tim to get my information because you actually didn't have it.
That's right.
And Tim had sent me the email first before I even responded to him to respond to you. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I really did forget about that actually. And I remember that so vividly because I remember, yeah, because you were only in class for a little bit, but I remember you did a scene from, I think it was like Pulp Fiction or something, and like you were so funny and so charismatic, and I really wanted to like cast you in something. I really wanted to work with you, and then like the next week you did something incredibly dramatic and like very heart wrenching, and I was like, oh my god, like this is Frank. And I don't know if
And
I've
I
ever told
did
you
that
this.
on
I don't think
purpose.
you did
Because
that
a
on
lot of
purpose.
times in class, like they always want me to be funny, which I naturally am. Like, fine, cool. So I'm like, cool. Last day of class, I'm gonna make everybody cry.
And you did. You
And
did.
I
And I
did.
can't remember for the life of me what it was from, because I think it was from something I hadn't seen before. And I was just so moved by it. And actually, yeah, I don't know that I've ever told you this before. Frank was actually never going to be a voiced character at all. But I saw
Wow.
you in class, and I was like, well, there he is. So now I have to write. And so I sent you that email, and I just like I remember sort of thinking, now that you've said that, I'm like, I remember thinking like, okay, well, right. If Phillip doesn't get back and he can't do this, then like, I just won't write this character in. Because like either it's going to be Phillip or it's not going to be anybody.
Right.
I'm like, but yeah, I truly like did not know you. Like I had to like go through our teacher to get you.
Yep.
And of course you are very, very funny. You're so funny in Life with Leo. And like, I'm so glad that you've, been able to show off your whole range in audio drama. But the Frank episode is like, I think the one that we've gotten the most emails about through the years.
Yeah.
Because it just was so like impactful for so many people, and just an amazing performance from both of you, truly.
And I do want to thank Julia, because that, like Ian said, it was hot in the bedroom. And what you all don't know is that I barely looked at the script because I didn't want to do too much. Like I'd read through it. I'm like, oh, this is very heavy emotionally. And I didn't want to run out the bank of emotions, because, as human beings, grief starts to dissipate. You know what I'm saying? The further we get away from it. And I wanted, with how Frank is, I wanted the grief to still be fresh, because it was still fresh for him. So
Yeah.
I probably rehearsed it, and barely rehearsed it like twice. And then when we got there, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave everything out on the bedroom floor. And I just remember opening my eyes and looking up, and you and Julia were crying. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know what Julia remembers about that, but I remember we did it exactly twice.
Yep.
And that was it.
That was it.
Because we couldn't do it anymore.
Yep. And I probably had one more in me, but I was so glad when you said, I think that is it, because I knew the further me as Phillip processed the grief for Frank, I'm gonna lose the connection to it. So
yeah, that was a very intense recording session, and the resulting messages that we got were very intense. I got an email from a group of Marines that were working at Quantico and listening to it together.
wow.
And they really enjoyed it. And then I got another email from someone who was in the Marines from 2004 to 2009, and like he wrote me this like really, really long email, sort of like saying that he'd never seen anybody depicts like the particular type of grief that he's experienced in that way. So I mean, you really like you directly like really touched some folks, as you all did, but that was just such a specific type of correspondence to receive from people who I think otherwise were not necessarily the target audience for our show.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that was really, really interesting. Okay, folks who are watching, please ask questions in the chat if you have them. I know we've sort of been like right away gabbing. And I do have some questions that folks sent in advance. So yeah, this is a good question, I think, to dive into after sort of talking about something a little bit heavy. From Sandrine, what is your favorite part about acting via podcast? And also, what was your favorite part to record, produce / write in season 3? We were all kind of joking beforehand that like, God, what even happened in season 3? So I guess I'll amend this question a little bit to say, what do you like about recording in audio only versus other mediums? And then, is there something, a particular moment that sort of stands out from recording the Bright sessions that sticks in your mind? Anybody can jump in.
Say the question one more time, Lauren. I got distracted by the chat.
He wasn't listening.
What do you like about recording for audio only versus like all of you obviously also do theater and screen acting. So what is unique to you and what do you enjoy about audio acting specifically? And also like if there's a particular moment of recording in the course of making the Bright Sessions that like sticks out in your head.
I'll jump off of just because of what Phillip said. Something that is nice is usually, aside from like Safe House, I think, not needing to memorize lines and therefore not needing to rehearse more than say twice on big emotional scenes and being able and that allowing it to be fresh when we're actually recording. Because that can be really helpful because I'm the same. I think I have the same sort of process as Phillip where it's like takes 1 and 2 are going to be my strongest. And then I'm going to start numbing if it's a big emotional scene. And then I'm going to start numbing after that because that's just a natural, like, defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. Like it was such a good training ground for a bunch of us young actors who like the industry is so gated, that frequently it's so hard to just even get opportunities to act. So the fact that we were getting the opportunities to do all these varying types of scenes and that we didn't have to we were like, how old were we all? It was 10 years ago.
Don't ask that question.
Yeah, come on.
10 years ago.
We had a lot going on, we were young and wild people in LA. So it was also nice. Could not have to, don't even, Phillip, just don't even. But it was nice that we could roll in and, after having done all the other stuff we were doing and not have to freak out about it. If we had not quite done all our homework, we could figure it out in the room with you because that was the other thing, right? It's like you were sitting right there and we would do it and you knew what you wanted. So it was a really low pressure environment and a really cool opportunity, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And then just to add to that too, I also felt that it was challenging in a good way because it's different when someone is listening to you and not seeing you and being able to convey all those different ranges of emotions. Like what you're saying of how Ian played his character, it wasn't what you imagined, but you could hear all of the hear and see all of the layers that were going to be there for this character that you didn't think were going to be there and how he conveyed those. So I love that aspect of it because it forced me to stay on my toes. Again, opposite Julia, I had to stay on my toes. You know what I'm saying? And being able to get those, extreme emotional lows, but then reel myself back up from that, to put up kind of like Frank's defense mechanism. That was hard. So I really enjoyed that challenge because a lot of times we don't, like Ian said, as young actors, we don't always get that, that type of material.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
I remember feeling so grateful just because I got to, through Wadsworth, I got to play around with control and trying to figure out vocally where that control lived and how that control changed from one person to the next and how much effort was needed to go ahead and get what I wanted in any given moment. And Wadsworth was the character who allowed me to really explore what that looked like and what that felt like. Because I remember just one bedroom session with Charlie. And I just remember flirting the entire time with him. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Oh, Wadsworth is just flirting to get what she wants and she can.
Well, and I think too for you especially, Alex, like you do stunts. Like you're like a lot of your acting work is incredibly physical with your whole body, right? And then so like I love the idea of like your voice being just like another muscle that you are using and controlling to turn the dials of Wadsworth this way and that. And we have a question in the chat that I think is good to jump into, which is from Blair Rose. For our Agent Wadsworth, what made you connect to Annabelle so well? I mean, she is kind of a difficult character in a lot of ways, right? She is an antagonist. She is very morally complicated.
Alex loved it.
Morally
Alex loved
complicated.
every
I absolutely adored every single moment of it. I did. Just because, like, how often am I gifted with a villain arc? Like, never. I'm typically going to be given the best friend role or a supporting role or some capacity where I'm like supporting the hero. And I was given a Killmonger, which was great. A justified villain, that's always perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Was it similar for you, Ian, in terms of like finding a? Well, sorry, Alex. What were you gonna?
No, so like in terms of finding Annabelle, for me, it was never a matter of being the actual villain, being the bad guy, making sure that I have control of all these people. Ultimately, it came from a very altruistic place of like, I am actively here trying to save humanity by making sure that I can control this group. And so just managing these people is for the greater good of all, ultimately. And when you can justify all the bad things that you do that way, it makes it really easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like finding her side of things and coming
Her
at it from
reasoning,
that
yeah.
direction. Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, someone asked you about your dog, Alex, because your dog's adorable.
Thank you. His name is Chaos. He lives up to his name.
So cute.
I initially named him Apophis, which is the Egyptian demon god of chaos.
Sick.
Hell
But
yeah.
I took him to the vet, and came outside and were like, Apophis, is Apophis here? And I was like, y'all don't understand how pH works. That is not his name. His name is Chaos from now on. And then the next time I came back to the vet, I came back, and the next time I came, he came outside legitimately and said, is Chouse here?
Oh
And
my
so
god.
there's nothing that I could do about it. His name's Chaos from now on, but the veterinarian just don't understand English
Chouse.
at all.
I disagree, Alex. I think his name is Chouse.
Chouse.
His name is not Chouse. No, thank you.
That's so good.
Spectacular.
Little Chouse. I like the idea too of Wadsworth having a little dog and naming it Chaos, because I think that is what she would do. I think that she would name a little dog Chaos.
I am embracing the fact that there are things in this life that are out of my control, and yet I am responsible for it. And I have no reason to be concerned or frightened because look at how adorable the chaos in my life is. He's really freaking sweet.
If we,
Yeah.
I think that is a good thing to embrace. If we can get good, friendly, fluffy chaos, that's the kind of chaos we want.
That's the only chaos I'm accepting in my life.
Amen.
Well, and I mean, like the thing you were describing, Alex, of like the villain arc and finding a way into a villain's sort of mentality and their own justifications. Like Julia and Ian, like I think both of you, had obviously Agent Green and Dr. Bright are in some ways a little bit more like immediately sympathetic, right? Or I think Agent Green becomes more sympathetic over time. But I mean, yeah, were there any things that they did or any sort of moments where you're like, ooh, I don't really know how to find my way in? And for you too, Alex, like were there any points of tension where you're like, oh, I don't know how to like justify this particular thing that this character is doing or thinking or feeling?
I was on board with Wadsworth from the very beginning. I understood all the justifications. And if anything, it became a journey of, well, how do I get Green to do it? Is what it felt like.
Yeah.
This is what
How
needs
do
to
you
happen,
manipulate?
so how do I get Green to do it?
Totally.
Sorry.
I think I have two thoughts. I think one area that was slightly difficult for me was using Caleb, because Dr. Bright uses everyone to get what she wants, which is her brother, which is the most important person in her life. So I get that. But because Caleb is so similarly like a little brother character, and he was so young, right? I mean, he's a teenager, he's a child. Using him to get as a means to an end was a little bit harder. But I also think Dr. Bright, it was harder. It wasn't like she was like, oh, F this kid, like I'm going to get what I want. It was like, oh, I'm using this kid that I've grown to really like to get what I want. And there was guilt in that. And then the other thing I don't remember if Agent Green was written to be sort of more nefarious than he was as
initially he was, yeah.
my question is, was it, were Dr. Green and Wadsworth both written originally as sort of love interests for Dr. Bright? Like, was Dr. Bright canonically bi? Because I was wondering if that came from us working together or if that was written in the story. Just thinking about working with actors and, you know, specific actors, Ian and Alex, and then that having that. I just remember, like, with Wadsworth, just Dr. Bright, Julia, just being like incredibly attracted to Wadsworth in a frustrating way, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
I can't remember if that was written in there specifically or if that was something that just developed because Alex is, you know,
Because
incredibly
I'm
attractive.
so charmed.
I mean, yeah. Like, the answer is like it's a little bit of both. I think. Like, there certainly are like. Yeah, there were several, I think, sort of relationships that sort of like grew into something different because of actor chemistry, right? But I definitely think, and it's funny, I've been putting together this this compendium of like the show Bible and the in-universe playlist notes and like sort of this like oral history of the Bright Sessions that it's going to be printed into like a little book that people can buy. And one of the things that's in it is like my original sort of like, you know, back of the napkin notes on some of the character sort of like attributes and sort of thinking through like their sexualities, right? Because like as a bisexual writer, like all of my characters tend to be like bisexual by default. And then it's sort of like figuring out like, okay, it's like, no, like Agent Green is straight. Like I'm pretty sure that Agent Green is straight. And for Dr. Bright, I was like, I think that she's straight. And then I think I remember talking to you about that sort of in the midst of writing Wadsworth and us both sort of being like, she is, but like, but there is this like unresolved thing with Wadsworth. And like, I think that for me as the writer, like obviously Agent Green was always written as a former love interest, right? Like even before we meet him, I think even before we meet him, or certainly the first time he appears, it's like there is this history. It's like they used to be together, and then she found out that he was keeping the secret from her that the AM was imprisoning her brother, and it's like obviously like how can you ever forgive your boyfriend for that? I think the thing that surprised me with you and Ian is that like by the time I did what I did to Agent Green, I was like, I kind of want them to figure this out. Like I kind of want these like two crazy kids to make it work. Like I think I felt like there was actually more romance there between the two of them than I'd initially wanted to leave. Like I sort of thought it was going to be like, okay, like they're just like purely like exes. Like he's still in love, but she's like burned and salt to the ground. And I don't think that actually was the case. And then for Wadsworth, I wanted them to have this very complex relationship. And then yeah, I think sort of seeing the two of you together, I was like, okay, well, this is a complicated relationship that, like, maybe Dr. Bright has not totally unpacked her feelings around the complexities within that. Like, I do think that she does have some non-platonic feelings for Wadsworth that kind of came out of my desire to create an ambiguous relationship and the chemistry that the two of you had, if that kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah, like so much of the, I mean, I hope this isn't crazy to say, but like, so much of the show's DNA comes from that era of Tumblr too, right? Like that we were all kind of steeped in those topics and like big sweeping complicated love stories, right? So it makes total sense to me that it you know, it was going to come for just about almost every character on the show because like that's, you know, I mean that's kind of where you were, I think, as a creative before you started doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I was also, you know, like figuring out kind of my own relationship to my sexuality and my gender and also like what attraction really even means and like, you know, kind of the ways in which that can be flexible and surprising. And I think also the ways in which that can be flexible and surprising like for and I think we probably all have experienced this for like two actors who like when the recording isn't on and the cameras aren't on, like are just two people who aren't necessarily attracted to each other, but then you put them in two characters and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's this like weird, bizarre alchemy that's occurring that like I think for me coming to making the show as an actor first and sort of figuring out the writing piece of it, I relied so much on you guys to figure out where to go with any of the characters, right? Like I don't know that I ever would have like, I think when I first started, mapping out sort of what was going to happen after Mark gets kidnapped at the end of season 2, and like, okay, eventually this is going to culminate in a confrontation between Damien and everybody else. I don't know that I could have foreseen that like Frank would have had a really like significant role in that, and that he would have had that conversation with Caleb, sort of that he would be able to relate to him in a way that they hadn't previously, right? And I don't know that I would have predicted that like, season 6, Agent Green would have been sort of the centerpiece in many ways of that season. But it's just like, that's like, and I certainly could never have predicted that like Dr. Bright's morality would have landed where it did. Like, she was initially written to be much more nefarious. And so like, I do think that like, you guys just brought so much interesting material for me to play with. And then I was just like, well, wait, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And like, it perpetually live in my head a million different alternate universes of the Bright Sessions where a million different things happen, Where like one where like Agent Green and Dr. Bright are together. One where like Dr. Bright and Wadsworth are like running the AM as like, some sort of toxic, weird couple that like is trying to destroy the world, like.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I still have the mics that we recorded. Probably not the first season, because I think the first season mics you used were different, but the Audio Technica. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that yellow Audio Technica that you were getting rid of?
Yellow? I
It's
don't know that I do.
No, it has like yellow. You marked it with yellow tape. It's like the yellow.
Oh, yeah. That was Evan's taping doing. I never have colored gaff tape, but he has tons of it.
I still have that mic, but it's crazy.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I love that. That's awesome. I also saw that apparently the chat in the Atypical Artist channel is disabled. I'm so sorry. I did not realize that was the case. You can go over to the Bright Sessions channel and leave a comment question there. I don't know why that happened. Apologies for folks who have maybe been trying to ask a question and couldn't. Okay, so, this is kind of an interesting question. And you don't have to necessarily pick favorites, but Mia asks, which voice actor / character do you think brought out the best in your performance in the show?
I think everyone's gonna have the same favorite.
Huh?
I think everyone's gonna have the same favorite. It's my pitch. That's my guess.
Okay. What's your guess, Ian?
I mean, definitely all of Agent Green's scenes with Damien, for sure, right? Because the performance that Charlie gave was just spectacular. I was so jealous all the time. I was so jealous that I wasn't that character or doing it as well as, like, I mean, because Damien was just like, every time Damien would talk, it was just so enthralling to listen to.
How in character of Agent Green to be jealous of Damien.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, no, that's so true.
That's such a good point.
That's so not what I was gonna, what I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say Julia, just because like all of us did so many scenes with Julia, and like getting to act against her is just like, you, like what Phillip was saying. It's like, she keeps you on your toes, right? Like you don't always know which way that you're gonna zig and zag. Yeah. But acting with Charlie also is a real treat.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, okay, because I was one of those people that did read fan fiction at some point.
Wait, Julia, why are you making a show?
Yes, Lauren explicitly told us not to do that.
I know. I'm trying to remember, in actual Bright Sessions, is there an episode where Agent Green and Damien bump into each other, like in the hallway, and Damien kind of intentionally tries to play like he's a love interest to make Agent Green jealous? In actual Bright Sessions.
Got you.
Like make Agent Green jealous because
of Damien's relationship with Joan.
Yeah, there's like a really brief passing, like in the hallway or like in the door.
Yes.
That's a legit. Okay.
I think that happens. I think that is actually in Agent Green's like first sort of in-person appearance. Like he appears in a voicemail because I've been listening through all of the raw audio from the first 3 seasons to find bloopers, and so like I've like heard a lot more of the Bright Sessions in the last 4 months than I have in like the last 4 years combined.
Wow.
Ian, I don't know if I told you that we have like a good full 2 minutes of you just like consistently calling Alex Dr. Wadsworth instead of Director
That
Wadsworth.
sounds like me. That sounds exactly
Really
like
good.
Is it 2 minutes of me doing it all over the place, or I just couldn't do it in this one section?
No, it's actually like it's a whole sequence of different recording sessions with different characters.
Sweet. Love it.
It's really good. It's actually, I think, my favorite bit of like Bright Sessions bloopers ever, because it's you first call Ren Beeler, who plays Charlie Decker, the guard in the AM, Director Decker, or Dr. Decker, or you call him Doctor or something instead of officer, and then you like make a little joke about it, and then you keep doing it in different scenes, and you just get more and more frustrated.
Like I said, we were tired. You know, I was young and tired.
Young.
Yes.
Wait, are these bloopers available?
They are. They are available if you are an Atypical Artists pal. If you're a supporter, you can listen to all of them right now. But we are also releasing them in time with these live streams.
Got it.
So the season 3 one will be going live. It might already be live. I can't remember when I scheduled it for. But it's definitely in the public one. But I'll also send you guys the pals versions because they are like each 4 minutes longer. Like each of the blooper reels is like 9 minutes. It's crazy. So anyway, yes, Julia, that interaction does happen when Agent Green is coming to do his evaluation at Dr. Bright's office, and Chloe and Damien are like outside, and Chloe's trying to eavesdrop, and sort of there is that little sort of chest puffing from both of them briefly.
Yes.
So I love that that's exactly on your mind, and I love that you can remember if it was a fic you read. Julia, I can't believe you're reading fanfic while you're making the show. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
No,
So you said we weren't. I'm trying to recall if it was literally while we were making the show. It could have been shortly after.
Could have been shortly after.
I
I
kind of
not
feel
dove in myself, but
I mean, maybe that's why we had so much chemistry, because there was just a lot of fic reading.
Right.
maybe. What about you guys, Phillip and Alex? Like, who do you feel like acting against was like particularly like surprising or interesting or brought something new out?
Yeah, my number one would definitely be Julia, since most of my scenes were with her, and even like with Anna, I don't remember us having that many scenes together.
Yeah.
Definitely Julia, and I think that once we did Safe House, that whole process, I think everybody brought their A game to it. That was probably out of, I mean, and no disrespect to your old hot bedroom, but that air-conditioned studio that we shot that in.
Yep, that was nice.
Was amazing. But in all seriousness, I think it would be Julia, because I think her and I spent the most time together with Frank as a character. So, and then even just our brief history in class, I remember her work from class too. So definitely Julia.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Light bulb for me was with Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, she really just does have something that's like totally unexpected in every scene that she was in. Like Damien just became a new person each time, I feel like. But sorry, Alex, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I totally agree with you though. He was just so very attentive as an actor. Just sitting across from him, being able to receive what he was offering was really great. I think we surprised each other a lot of the time, and he was one of the earlier scenes that I had. So that really set the tone for me in terms of what Wadsworth could do.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Just a quick pronoun note. It's a little bit confusing because the pronouns are different for the character versus the actor. But Charlie, since doing the Bright Sessions, has come out as a trans woman, so now uses she/her pronouns. And of course, Damien, he/him pronouns. So yeah. But just for anybody watching, one little note about that I shared with Charlie before is that we got a lot of messages from lesbians through the years who specifically wrote and were like, I'm a lesbian, but I find Charlie Ian's voice so attractive. And I was like, you just knew. You knew you were listening to like a hot woman as a lesbian.
Did Charlie move to England as well? Or did I make that up?
She moved to Canada for a little bit.
For a while in Montreal. She's in
Mhm.
Portland with me now.
That's right, yeah.
We've seen each other in person like once.
Yeah.
But we are collaborating on a project right now. So I see her on Zoom every couple of weeks.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, wait, so for you, Alex, in terms of, because writing, I mean, first of all, you have amazing chemistry with everybody. Charlie has amazing chemistry with everybody. And like, yeah, it's like you with Julia was a totally surprising dynamic. Charlie with Andrew was a totally surprising dynamic, right? Like Damien was not supposed to fall for Mark, and then I got the two of them together and we were all like, whoa. And so putting the two of you together, like in the first big episode that you had just of Damien and Wadsworth, I remember sort of being like feeling like I was being given like the keys to a playground. And like I had so much fun. Yeah, like I had so much fun sort of writing for the two of you, especially because of like Damien and Wadsworth's like particular relationship to control that they each have. And so I'm curious for you, like obviously working with Charlie is one thing, but from a character perspective, like what do you think Wadsworth's perspective on Damien was? Like what was she trying to get from Damien? And like what do you think her feel like? Was the flirtation real? Was it just a manipulation? Like, I would just kind of like love to know inside your head about that.
Oh, I feel like in every case the flirtation is a manipulation, whether it's intentional or not. And I don't mean it in terms of like I don't flirt in terms of a negative thing per se. It's more in terms of like, oh, this affects you. Me responding to you this way affects your behavior, and so that is beneficial if I need it to be, sort of thing, you know. And so playing around with Charlie with that was really such a treat because we were very clearly affecting one another, but also trying not to go ahead and give ground at the same time. So it became this really interesting little chess match going back and forth, trying to be like, well, did I successfully flirt with you in this moment, or should I try harder? What should I do?
And I think
I remember that like eye-opening for me.
Yeah, and I remember like oftentimes like we would do another take and it would be like, I want you guys to flirt even more. Like I want you to like lean even further into it, just because it was so deliciously like
it was energized.
It was energized. Yeah, it felt a little bit more like a fight than a flirt, but like in a way that was still like not very combative. Like yeah, it really was a sort of those two characters together was kind of a special kind of magic, I think.
It was very like a power. I felt like it was a very much a power competition. It kind of reminds me of. Did anyone else watch Firefly?
Oh yeah, of course.
The companions, the episode when the two companions meet each other and they have a little flirt banter, and then at the end they're both like, "You're good," and then they're like out. Right? They both know each other. They both know they're manipulating each other, but they're also impressed with each other's flirting manipulation skills. That's like what it reminded me of.
Yeah, perfect.
I love that. Yeah, except like Wadsworth is like the varsity version, and Damien like is like he wants to be varsity, but he's really JV. Like he doesn't actually have the kind of like manipulation skills that Wadsworth does, because he's always just relied on like having his power do the work for him.
Power.
Right. And so like I think I really do love, Alex, that you always played every scene like you'd already won. And I think that like always came through, and it was great.
Like I would be surprised when I didn't get what I wanted. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna try this one again, real quick. Hold on.
I mean, you usually did get what you wanted. You know, it's like she's very good at staying on top of things. Okay, this is an interesting question because I think it's something we didn't talk too deeply about, and something I'm always curious about when it comes to actors' process. How far back did you need to go in your character's past to shape how you played your character? To sort of like, I guess, like front load this question a little bit. The way that I approached as a writer, like kind of giving it, and like, please, you know, any of you disagree with me if I'm misremembering anything, but like you'd have the scripts. I might give you like a little bit of information either in the room or with the scripts around like any important background info that you needed to know. But like, we wouldn't, there wasn't like some sort of big long character life biography that I was handing to you, and we rarely sort of got in depth on things like Agent Green's parents, or like, you know, like Frank's first girlfriend, or like whatever it was, right? And so like for you guys, like what for both these roles, but also just like in general, like when you're kind of given that amount of information, like what do you do in terms of like character biography, past work kind of stuff?
We talked about this last time. I always write an autobiography, which I did briefly look for last night. It is not on my laptop, so I'm hoping it's somewhere on an external hard drive, because I still want to find it and read it and share it with you.
I would love to read it.
I don't recall. I know this is why I wanted to find it. I don't recall exactly what it said, but I think I did ask questions to help guide it, because in the first, whatever it was, 9 episodes, there was mention of Mark and Damien, but we didn't know who they were yet. So I think I had to ask you that specifically, and that was it. And everything else was just made up and probably ultimately inaccurate to Dr. Bright's actual backstory eventually. I do remember with Mark, once Mark came into the storyline in a major way, and I don't remember the timing, but remember that notebook that I made a copy of? Yeah, it's like a childhood notebook between Joni and Mark. That was literally both a gift, like both intended to be a gift for you, but also like character backstory research for me. And it's just like conversations between written and drawn conversations between Dr. Bright and Mark as they're growing up. And so that was like a fun activity / backstory that helped with that. But that was very much like, yeah, just getting that childhood sibling memory sort of in there. But I don't exactly remember the timing of when I did that.
Yeah, I can't really recall either. But so you do autobiographies for each of your characters anytime you're sort of taking on a role in a major way.
Yeah.
What about the rest of you?
This one I did a little differently, because again, like Julia said earlier, I had no idea about fiction podcasts, so I kind of went into this blindly. I will say a little bit of stuff that I did think about, like Frank's relationship with Chloe. When I first approached it, I approached it as being like a father figure, protecting that. And then in terms of Frank being in the service, my grandfather was in World War II. We didn't have the verbiage for it then, but that man suffered PTSD. So I was able to look back on things that actually happened in not only my childhood, but also some of the stories that he told about, like watching some of his own, again, World War II, we don't have to say much, but watching some of his own, brothers getting killed by, their own people in there, and him having to, avenge that, but also how to survive by pretending to be dead with their dead bodies also on top of him. So I took a lot of that stuff with me. There actually is a documentary that's out about that, about Black soldiers who fought in World War II. And there is a picture that they have of my grandfather is with his platoon, and they captured a Nazi flag. So I also kind of had, yeah, it's crazy. When I went home a few years ago, some of the stuff that my uncle still has from my grandfather, like some of their armbands, all this type of stuff. So I was able to pull from real life experience, and and then add my own PTSD on top of it, because we all have some. So this one was a little bit different, and I wanted, again, because of how complex he was, I wanted him to, his whole now was based off what happened to him, listening to each one of his men die, and dealing with the fallout of that and the PTSD wrapped around that. So I tried to stay more into that instead of, what his first girlfriend was like, because I don't even think that was even a priority to him. Like, even, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead, but even like his final phone call after the whole safe house thing, I think it said a lot about him finally trying to move on with having some semblance of a normal life. So yeah, this process was real different. I didn't think about anything outside of, his relationship with Chloe, and then using real life experience with, my grandfather who fought in World War II to bring, like I said, memories from childhood and his stories and those feelings into that character.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Like, there's a real sense of like grounded realism to your performances, Frank. So
Yeah.
all makes complete sense.
Alex, you got an answer?
I rolled with it.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, so no, I did not take a lot of time crafting a backstory for Wadsworth, only because all of the interactions that I had with Wadsworth were already so meaty to begin with, so that like I didn't feel as though it was something that I needed creatively. Like there was so much that I was already given on the page for Wadsworth to work with.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I kind of feel the same, actually. It's like nowadays, I really try to let the moments of the story be the things that inspire me to ask those type of questions, right? Like I think we're hearing it a lot from people where you can get so expansive as when you're imagining what this past is, and then the question is like, is this of use? Is this pertinent to the story? It's kind of hard to be. Whoa! My dog is freaking out. Come here, Indy. Come over here. Come here. So for that reason, I think it's easier to let whatever that story that you're telling that day allow you to ask those questions. But at the time, I mean, I hadn't even gotten into my acting class or anything yet, so I didn't really know how to do any of that. So same with Alex. Like I just remember hearing what you had of the show so far, and you telling me that my whole deal was that me and Joan had a past relationship and I wasn't over it. And then I kind of just let the sort of image, like I had a lot of like, do you know that kind of particle board fake wood that's like on old student desk chairs?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
popcorn ceiling, or like the sort of like panel ceiling that would be an old office from the 80s. Like I kind of let those types of images do most of that work for me in the beginning, which isn't history at all, but that's just what I had at that time.
I love that. And it's so interesting hearing you talk about it, because it's like weirdly aligned with like how much I knew about each of these characters, right? Like I knew about like Dr. Bright's childhood to an extent, and like the relationship that she had with her brother, and the relationship crucially that she like didn't have with her parents. And exactly what you said, Philip, around like, I mean, yeah, Frank talks about his grandfather, right? Like in when he's in his first session with Dr. Bright, and sort of his relationship with Chloe, and then the trauma that he had been through being sort of the thing hovering above any other sort of biographical facts that he had. And then truthfully, like, yeah, for both Green and Wadsworth, like I especially once I got the two of you into those roles, I was like, I know exactly who these people are, but I like couldn't tell you how or why they are the way that they are. I just know that they are. And it's like, every now and then a fan will ask me a question around like one of, something that folks love talking about in the Atypical Pals Discord is like, yeah, like who has siblings, right? Like, does Wadsworth have siblings? Does Agent Green have siblings? Like, what would those relationships be like? I mean, obviously Wadsworth does have. We eventually do find out that her sister is Adam's mom, and so like there's that relationship there. But like, are there other siblings? Like, are they close with their parents? Like, I think all of that kind of stuff, like, yeah, is only as useful as it is for how it's informing the exact moment in the story. And I think that's something that always surprises people when they ask actors or writers about like a character's backstory or whatever, because there are some writers, of course, who like, world builds to the end of time, and like, and like every detail is planned out, and I'm just like, no, like what does this character want right now, and like, who are they, and in what way are they gonna sort of try and get that based off of like their personality?
Yeah.
So it's funny that we're all sort of on the same wavelength without necessarily like directly discussing these things.
Yeah. Did you see that question in there for you, Lauren, about keeping your Sam brain different from your writer brain?
Oh, no, I did not. From Blair Rose, what helped you keep the Sam side of your brain and your writer director side of your brain separate? I mean, I didn't for the most, like, I really had a hard time doing that. I mean, I think like honestly, like I would pretend to basically be acting each character every time I was writing. So it's like in my mind, like I've played every role in the Bright sessions in some capacity, which like really helped me like sort of step back during sessions and direct. But like, to be totally honest, like if Sam is in a scene and I'm also directing that scene, like I was not doing a good job directing that scene. Like that is something I can say with complete certainty now, looking back on it. And I truly just was able to like rely on the fact that I work with truly extraordinary actors who were able to like carry the weight of the scene when I was like completely unable to direct myself or them because I'm also trying to act. And also like finding typos in my script. Like now that I've done it so many times, like writing, directing, and acting in your own thing is just a bad idea. Don't do it.
Hard. It's really, really hard.
Really hard.
Yeah.
And something will suffer. And like I think for me it was either my performance as Sam was suffering or my directing of other actors was suffering. Whereas from the writing side, like because I was always trying to step into each character's shoes in the writing, like Sam never really got in the way there, I don't think.
Funny too. I mean, like, I don't think any of us felt like that when we were doing it, but I wonder at what point you realized that about yourself, and also then that you couldn't get out of it because you had already started the show. So like you were already in it, and there was you weren't going to not be in it anymore.
I mean, there's like a reason that like all of the biggest and like best scenes, in my opinion, in season 6, the AM archives, like don't have Sam in them.
Because you're directing.
Right? Because I was directing them. And like, like I knew I wanted her to be in that season because there were like things that I kind of wanted to like tie up for her. Like there were like lots of arcs that I was able to bring to a close in season 4, like the last season of the Bright Sessions, right? Like Frank's arc, Chloe's arc, Damien's arc. Like I knew I wanted to like tie a bow in all of those, but Sam's was still kind of lingering. And so I needed her to be in there, but I needed her to not be in there very much because because that also was like a much bigger production than we'd ever attempted before.
Right.
And so like for me, I sometimes forget that I was in that season because all of my memories of recording it are of directing.
Yeah.
And obviously we will talk about that much more in depth in what month? In September when we do our live stream on the AM archives. And similarly, Steph, I see your question about Sam and Mark Endgame. That I'm going to answer in next month's stream. I'm hoping to get Andrew and Charlie to join that stream and for us to do a Sam, Mark, Damien unpacking of season 4 and kind of the three of them as a weird love triangle. So I will get to that question. But we are at the end of our time here. I'm going to see if there's like a question that we got in advance that we could answer quickly. Oh, okay. This is okay. There are 2 questions that I think are quite quick. That'll be fun. From Mara, do you think Wadsworth was ever jealous of Dr. Bright's relationship with Agent Green? Or did you feel just so secure?
I'm sure that the nature of their relationship grew increasingly inconvenient at times as they build camaraderie against my own wishes. Sure. But ultimately, it was another point of leverage to go ahead and figure out how they work with each other. I mean, that was the joy of Wadsworth.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Perfect.
I totally agree with that. And I truly think that, like, even when they were dating, Wadsworth was like, yeah, but it's like, it's just a phase. Like, Dr. Bright will leave him eventually, and then, like, it'll just be the 2 of us, you know?
Right? We'll find each other again, of course.
Yeah. Okay, final question for all of you, which I will amend a little bit. Kira asks, so the whole cast, what is your favorite episode or scene that you are not in? What is your favorite that you are in? I'm going to kind of jump off of that and say, like, because we were sort of touching upon it earlier a little bit. If there was like one character that you could have played in the show that you didn't, who would you have wanted to play?
We already know Ian's answer.
Yes, you do.
So Damien for Ian.
Ooh.
Dun, 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 dun.
I should probably answer this question.
While people are thinking, I'm realizing, Lauren, I think the mic I have is the mic we recorded season 6 on, which is why it's mine.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that was yeah, probably one a shotgun mic, right?
Yeah, the Audio Technicas. I'll dig it out. I'll find it. I'll show it to you.
I mean Damien would have been really fun. I think I would have really enjoyed playing Oliver in season 6 and 7 of the. I mean, like, I don't think anybody could do that role better than Christian does it in AM Archives and College Tapes. But like, I think that's especially because that's a character I did not create. I think I would have a lot of fun with it. What about you three?
I'm real happy with what I got.
No, I was thinking the same thing because I don't think. I mean, there was no way I was playing a teenager. Let's just be honest. No way I'm playing.
Listen, Brigham wasn't 17 when he played Caleb.
Yeah, but there's still at least like a 10 to 12, 15-year age difference between me and Brigham too.
Sure.
You know, so he was closer to remembering that than I was. You know.
Fair enough.
You know, but yeah, I couldn't imagine playing anybody but Frank. I feel like the stars just aligned for that one moment in class for a character that wasn't even meant to have any lines to be played by me. So I'm really grateful and thankful to play Frank.
I love that. All right, Julia.
I know. I kind of feel the same way. I think there's a world where it would have been fun for me and Alex to switch.
That'd be sick.
It would be a completely different show, though.
That would be really cool.
Totally.
It would be a completely different show.
It'd be cool if it was a one-time episode where there was like a body swap.
Like a Freaky Friday. Ooh, bonus episode. Oh,
don't give me ideas. That's really fun.
That would be
but yeah, I feel the same way where I was just like, I just feel really lucky to it. I mean, honestly, this is like the Bright sessions. I don't. This is gonna sound like corny, no matter what. So I'll just say it was sort of like a peak of my career in a lot of ways. You know, just going. I mean, just having fan art and fan fiction, and going to the conventions and really being recognized. I mean, every once in a while, someone still comes along who is just like, I know you from the Bright, like unrelated. I know you from the Bright sessions, or, and there's a part of me. This is actually a question for Lauren. There's a part of me that wants to ask, like, when are we gonna like do it again? like
the Bright
like
sessions
really?
Specifically?
Yeah.
Or like just working together.
D, all of the above.
Both, but also like, is the world done for you, or is there a world in which it doesn't have to be a continuation of the story? I mean, you were in development on TV for a little while. Yeah. Obviously, you did the books, but is it done for you, or is it like, you know? Because listen, like I'm in my 40s now. Like let's do it again. Let's like.
Listen,
let's just start again.
You know, it's
let's
funny.
Make a film. We can do it on camera version. Let's do a film.
Listen,
girls, let's write a feature.
If someone wants to you know come and rain down a bunch of money on me, like listen, like I can be bought.
Yeah.
No, I mean like the real answer is I feel it's a little bit of a sand trap. Like I feel like I am always on the verge of stepping into a trap around continuing the Bright sessions in some way, because like I have stories I think that I would be interested in telling potentially, and a new perspective now and all of that kind of stuff. I just don't know if then it would be like disappointing to the listeners who have like given us so much through the years, right? Because it's not like I think that the central tension that I experience is that just like the person who wrote the Bright Sessions does not exist anymore.
Yep.
And like, it's like I was 24 when I, wrote the first season of that show. Like I'm 34 now. Like there's a very big gap between those two ages, right? In terms of like the life experience that you have and sort of like your perspective on the world and your maturity and all that kind of stuff. And so like the me I was then, like I can't access that person anymore, right? And so I do worry that there would be some kind of disappointment, especially since like part of why I ended the show when I did, even sort of pre the bonus episodes and the spinoffs, was because like we've all had shows that we really, really love that just like become bad because they just go on for too long. And I think I had this like very like, I had this really strong awareness of like, if I keep going just to keep going, I'll lose the thing that makes this good. And, now I'm sort of in the position where it's like, I have a new perspective on these characters. I have a new perspective on this stuff, but also, am I just tempted to return to the well that gave me so much? Right? Because it was a highlight of my career too. Right? And like, would I be doing it for the right reasons?
Yep.
I would still love to see it on TV. I don't personally have any interest in adapting the show for television. I would love to be involved in picking the person who adapts it for television, but like, and I would love to like write an episode and like visit set, but like, I don't really want to adapt my own work. Like the books was a little bit of that, but I just don't think I do a good job for Bright Sessions in particular. So yeah, I mean, this is a small stream, and Julia, you're gonna learn this eventually anyway. I have written something that I'm considering having you record to come out on November 1st for the actual 10-year anniversary.
Okay.
Ask and you shall receive, Julia.
Okay.
So,
and we live close. Can we come? Is it something we can do in person?
I would love that. I would really love that.
We can make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It is still evolving. And I think the only other two people who really like know about it are Misha and Briggan, just because I happen to be talking to them about other things. I don't know. I think it's something we will record. It might be something that just stays exclusive to Atypical Artist supporters, because like I don't know exactly what it's gonna. It is my final little like epilogue for like the thing that I wanted to say originally in the show, and I just don't know how like when with your art you're like, how vulnerable am I gonna allow myself to be sort of on a like large stage. But yeah, I mean, like I do have thoughts about like what everybody is up to now, and like what the context of maybe hearing from one of these characters again might be. And once we end the stream, I can tell you specifically what that context is. But I also like really love the idea of doing a body swap episode. and just doing like bonus episodes of like weird alternate universe versions of something I have promised to the Tip of Pals, because we do talk about this stuff a lot, is like years and years and years and years ago, egged on by Megan Fitzmartin, of course, I wrote like the first couple of pages of like an alternate universe where Sam is on the Mark and Damien road trip that takes place between season 2 and 3. Cool. And I've sort of been thinking about like filling that out a little bit more and sharing it with our supporters and stuff. So TBD. But like I don't know if it would be, well, I mean, like only 3 of you here could potentially revisit the world
because I'm dead.
unless it's a flashback in which now we're too old, but now we're too old, and if it's just voice we could do it, but if it's the early days of
flash forward in like, remembrance.
I was always adamant about like we're never gonna hear from Damien ever again after season 4, because I want him to just like, I have my own ideas about where he ends up going and what he ends up doing, but like I want to leave that up to the listener. But like we still got Charlie in for season 7 in a flashback, so it's like, the
world of bounds.
World of bounds, and especially if it's an alternate universe, maybe we can do a Joan Wadsworth body swap, Agent Green Damien body swap.
That'd be fun. Cool. That'd be super fun.
Just so we can live out our fantasies.
Exactly. And Frank can be the mediator of the of the chaos. Okay, I have kept you guys far over the time that I promised you. Before we go, please let our viewers and future viewers know where they can find you, or if there's anything that you're working on that you want to point them to.
We are recording Star Tripper Season 3 right now. Alex Marshall Brown might be doing her episode pretty shortly, if she hasn't already. And then, like I said, please check out The Wandering Path. It's a D&D actual play with Misha Stanton, our often sound engineer, very rarely in front of the mic person, as the DM. And it's a really lovely, fun show. It's great. The Wandering Path and Star Tripper Season 3.
Amazing. Alex?
What Ian said, I've been rolling with it. Life has been grand lately. I'm in the process of moving, and so mostly right now I'm just packing up my apartment.
Excellent. Love it.
Yeah, that's what I got going on. I'm being a
Julia?
grown up.
That's great.
I shared this last time, but I'm in development on a feature. And can I do this? I'm actually in the middle of a Seed and Spark campaign, but we don't need money. We need followers. Because I'm doing this part, here it is. This comment has failed to post, but maybe we can send it out later. Yeah. Part of this is like the AAPI Renaissance Rally. So a bunch of like Asian stories and Asian creators, we all launched at the same time. And we're sort of like trying to qualify for a chance to potentially pitch to Gold House and at the Toronto International Film Festival. So it's like a really like roundabout sort of application, like opportunity application. But we mainly need followers because we're supposed to get like 350 followers. So on Instagram at Julia Morizawa, I have a link there, or we can share it later. But genuinely, like, we don't need the money, we need the followers. So if you have time to just click the follow link, and then you'll probably have to make an account. That would be amazing.
Awesome. And Phillip?
You can find me on Blue Sky at philipjordan.com. You can also find me on Instagram, philipjordan.com. Also my website, philipjordan.com. You can branded. You can see things that I've done, little clips from everything, be it commercial, film, TV, all that other stuff. And as I mentioned earlier too, if you haven't listened to Life with Leo, produced by Lauren. We had a grand old time recording the first season of that during the pandemic. 2 seasons of it. Great show. Make sure you support that. What's Octavia's last name? Octavia Bray. Wrote it. Great writing. So check that out if you haven't. And yeah.
I love that show so much. Like, that show literally is just like, Tavy pitched me the idea because Octavia Bray wrote on season 6 AM Archives. Brilliant writer. She pitched me that idea, and I was like, yeah, how can I pay to make this happen? Because I want to listen to it. And actually, that's a good transition to Octavia has, I don't know if she would mind me saying this, but I doubt it. She is going to be doing punch-ups on my current original that I'm drafting called 2000 and Late, because she's very funny and I am not very funny, and I want it to be funny, and so I've hired her to do punch-ups, which I'm so excited about. And that show is actually casting right now. So if anybody is watching and wants to audition for that, you can go to atypicalartist.co/casting. We also have some new Bright Sessions merch and some new Bright Sessions merch coming. So just like go to atypicalartist.co and like sign up for our mailing list. I'll let you know when some merch drops are happening, including that compendium I was talking about, as well as a musical episode vinyl, which I'm putting together right now that I'm so excited about. And yeah, thank you everybody so much for joining. Thanks so much to you for it. Was so wonderful to see your lovely faces and reminisce. And yeah, keep an eye out for next month's stream. Go support these amazing artists. And as always, stay strange.